Question 16 says, two coherent sources of sound S1 and S2 produce sound waves of the same wavelength lambda equal to 1 meter in phase. S1 and S2 are placed 1.5 meter apart, see figure, and let us slide it to have a better look at the figure. Well, we need to slide it even beyond this. So, this is what the figure looks like. Let us go further to read the text of the question. Well, we were up to this point. S1 and S2 are placed 1.5 meter apart. A listener located at L directly in front of S2 finds that the intensity is at a minimum when he is 2 meter away from S2. So, we see that the listener is here and it is at a distance of 2 meter from source S2, and at this moment the listener hears a minimum. Okay. The listener moves away from S1 keeping his distance from S2 fixed. The adjacent maximum of intensity is observed when the listener is at a distance d from S1. Then d is. The question is on the interference of sound waves, and let us look at the figure. So, this is the figure. Question clearly says that when the listener is here, he hears or she hears a minimum of intensity. Let us connect S1 with L, and if we connect S1 with L, what is the distance S1L? We can easily find that using the Pythagoras theorem. One side is 2 meter, the other side is 1.5 meter, and this distance using Pythagoras theorem will come out as 2.5 meter. So, this is 2.5 meter now, and it is very clear that the path difference, for the waves to reach from the two sources S1 and S2 at point L is 0.5 meter. The wavelength is 1 meter. So, this is lambda by 2, and there is naturally a minimum of intensity at point L. Now, as the listener goes along this arc of radius 2 meter with center at S2, the first maximum is heard at this point P. So, let us call it point P. Now, remember the path difference here was lambda by 2, and if there is a maximum, the nearest maximum on this arc, well, the path difference should clearly be 1 meter, is it not? For constructive interference to happen, here the path difference was lambda by 2, here the path difference must be lambda. Now, if that is the case, then it clearly means that S1 into P minus S2 into P is 1 meter, which means d minus 2 meter is 1 meter, which gives us the value of d as 3 meter. So, that means option 4 is the correct option. Well, quite a nice question. Let us go to question number 17 now. Question 17 is based on kinematics. Let us read the question. It says, the velocity v and time t graph of a body in a straight line motion is shown in the figure. The point S is at 4.333 seconds. The total distance covered by the body in 6 seconds is. So, we have to find the distance travelled when we are given the velocity time graph. Now, the concept is pretty straightforward. For calculating the distance, we have to take mod of the two displacements. If we divide the journey in two parts, one is from 0 to 4.333 seconds and the other is from 4.333 seconds to 6 seconds. The displacement in the second interval in fact is negative, but we have to take mod of that displacement and add it to the displacement in the first interval of 4.333 seconds. So, let us find that, and for finding these two displacements we need to calculate the area. So, the distance becomes, let us call it d, is area of the first trapezium plus modulus of the area of the triangle. Now, there is some interesting thing to note here. we can see that in fact the value of speed here is indicated as 2 meter per second, the value of velocity is given as minus 2 meter per second. So, that is fine. Let us find the area of the first trapezium. The area of the trapezium is 1 by 2 into the height is 4 second and multiplied by the sum of the parallel sides. So, one side has length here in 1 second and the longer side will have length 4 plus 1 by 3 second, right, because 0.333 we can take it as 1 by 3. So, that means here we have sum of the parallel sides. So, 1 plus 4 plus 1 by 3, that makes it 13 divided by 3. So, we are not done yet, this is only the area of the trapezium. We have to add the area of the triangle also, and that area is 1 by 2 into the base. Now, what is the base? If this is 1 by 3 second, so the base length here becomes 1 plus 2 by 3 second, right. So, that means it is 5 by 3 second. So, 1 by 2 into 5 by 3 and the height is to be taken now as 2, not minus 2, because we are taking only the modulus of this displacement to find the total area. Well, this answer will come in terms of meter and it is a simple matter of doing some addition, some multiplication. Finally, the value of D will come out as 37 divided by 3 meter. So, option 1 is correct. It is time now to go to question number 18. Question 18 says, in an experiment to verify Stokes' law, a small spherical ball of radius r and density rho falls under gravity through a distance h in air before entering a tank of water. If the terminal velocity of the ball inside water is same as its velocity just before entering the water surface, then the value of h is proportional to, ignore viscosity of air. Very interesting one. It is based on the Stokes' law and terminal velocity. Now, the velocity after it has fallen through height h is root 2 gh, is it not? And that is also equal to its terminal velocity. So, we have first of all the expression for the terminal velocity. We know that it is proportional to r square. The expression for terminal velocity in fact is 2 divided by 9 eta into r square into rho minus sigma into g. So, basically what matters here is that it is proportional to the square of the radius, and we have to find relation between h and r, the radius. V itself, Vt in fact is root 2 gh. So, from these two equations we can see that h is directly proportional to the fourth power of the radius, that means h is proportional to r to the power 4 from these two equations, which makes option 1 as the correct option. Let me slide it back and it is time now to go to question number 19.